I've been driving down the back roads. This how I'm spending all my days. I ain't caring where the map goes, cause the sunshine in my face too fast to see the grass grow. You know how that goes.
Red clay, white sand, blue skies. Now, what do those things all have in common? Well, that would happen to be me. My name's Afika, and I'm actually a Southern man on 2 continents, and this is Southern Squared. So I wanted to make this show just because, it's a complex identity being black in America, but also being an immigrant, and being African, but also being foreign and not even speaking the languages really back in South Africa in the kingdom of Eswatini, where my family is from and where I was conceived, and coming to the United States and navigating all those identities, immigrant, black, growing up in the American South, around mostly white people, it's a complex identity where you have to almost be a social chameleon in a lot of ways, but in the best ways. It's not like you change who you are, it's that you figure out how to inject who you are into the different environments that you occupy. The other thing about this show and being a Southern man on 2 continents is that I moved from literally one of the most liberal counties in America, Kings County in the state of New York, Brooklyn. I moved from there down here to Alamance County, North Carolina, where you can see it's just rural. It's very, very rural. We got water out here. Up this way, there's literally horses about three quarters of a mile up the road. You go a little bit farther, llamas go a little bit far. No, before you get to the llamas, excuse me, there's a big old dairy farm. We are out here in the country, and at a time when our political divide is literally tearing the country apart, and at a time when our media is trying to incentivize us to dehumanize one another, I think it's important that people with viewpoints, real viewpoints in different environments can come and just share their perspective and hopefully help bridge that gap, close the divide. So that's what this show is going to be about. The first thing I'll say is it's such a shame what our political figures combined with our media incentives and our media traditions are just doing their damnedest to dial up the divisions between us and stoke the divisions, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, the same thing that people want up in New York is the same thing that people want down here in the South, and it's the same thing that people want across the pond in Southern Africa, and that is safety for themselves and the people they love, opportunity to build a life better than the ones their parents had, or to build a life better than the one they had yesterday, opportunity for their family and everyone they love, their offspring. The other thing they want is an identity to be proud of. An identity to be proud of, and that includes a sense of belonging to other people. In a big reason why a lot of division is occurring right now is because behind our current president, we have a massive populist movement that is fueled by an almost tribal identity, not even almost, really a tribal identity to a group. And within the people who have real beliefs and a dog in the fight, there's a lot of people who just want a sense of belonging. And on the other side, the opposition to that current president is really a lot of people who just want to belong to being on the right side of history. But one of the main problems, I would say, from having lived up in New York, from coming from not one, but two different tribes on the other side of the ocean, and having lived here in a state that has voted Republican at the presidential level as far back as uh, as as far back as Republicans have been the party of conservatism. That's how long this state has been voting conservative, even while all the surrounding counties around this county have either switched from voting red to blue or have kind of flip-flopped back and forth since about 96 and 2000. This county has stayed staunchly conservative, and I'm learning from them too. From all those examples across the ocean in Africa to here in the conservative American South, the problem that the opposition to our current president has is that they don't have a tribal identity. Who and what is the archetype of what we'll call of the Democratic Party? Who and what is the archetype of the left? There's so many different identities floating within, so many marginalized identities overlapping with one another, pointing in a direction where, unfortunately, a lot of times, the last, I'm going to call it at least the last two presidential election cycles, the only identity they had was not Trump. And that is not going to cut it. And as I'm watching them now, I'm noticing them continuing to do all the wrong things, like these scripted videos to constituents where it was a clearly written out message to oppose Trump on his first State of the Union address, where you've got like Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, all these different lawmakers, and the only thing they're doing is repeating this script word for word, and they're not even and they're not even hiding it or trying to hide it. They're just publicizing it as though we're not going to find out. There's just such disrespect for people's intelligence that goes on the left, and there's just a broken, non-existent strategy. And look, Democrats are dead essentially if they're thinking that they're going to continue to do what they've been doing. Got a broken script, broken strategy, and it looks like they're doubling down on it. I read something about how they're focusing on getting back in touch with working class folks, and that their approaches at doing that are by going to like gun clubs and sporting events. And it's so ironic because all the locations that they talked about going to were places that conservatives target. So Democrats don't have their own carved out strategy. They're either doing the same broken thing that lost them this election, or they're literally copying conservatives. Doesn't make sense. So I don't think that the Democrats got any more juice, any more gas in the tank for this level, this stage, this age of the nation. I think the role of social media in spreading information, especially the role of independent journalism in exposing facts, exposing conspiracy theories that have continuously turned out to become true. The role of independent media is ruining the Democratic playbook because it's exposing the fact that they are a corporatist agenda that is only interested in the type of flat stability. They're only interested in the type of flat stability that allows them to keep their corporate interests afloat with foreign investments that take a while to come to fruition and domestic investments that, a volatile market is not something that they enjoy. They want that steady paycheck, baby. They want that steady money, and they got their claws all in the party. So the Democrats are trying to do an impossible thing, which is appeal to an audience who needs radical leadership while being beholden to a mandate that restricts them from being radical and being bold. So there isn't a version of the Democratic Party that gains strength in the next 4 years. And just remember I said this, man. Remember I said this. I called out this big revolution, oh, as early as 2012, and I've got a project that I put out just talking about it called Wartime Awakening. And just don't discount your friendly neighborhood southern squared conspiracy theorists is all I'm saying. The Democrats got nothing next election, and I think that the conservatives, the Republicans, know it, and we'll see. What could I say? I don't want to be alarmist. I don't want to be a prophet of doom. I do want to be observant. I do want to be prepared. I do want to be educational. I do want to be honest and respect you guys, your strength, your ability to take care of yourself, and your ability to stomach difficult information. But the people, honestly, as being what I see happening is these initial guts to the administrative state of the United States and the tariff war that's resulting are gonna kind of tank the United States for a little bit. Like stock prices already dropped as a result of this tariff war, this trade war. I see things picking back up between now and 2028 and during that time also, if things pick back up, I see just a continuation of all these radical changes to the United States, to where there's a constitutional, they figure out a way to justify a constitutional amendment to allow unlimited terms or third terms. That's what I could see happening. And then, Trump gets elected again, because I don't see, if JD Vance ran, then that would basically mean that 2 years out of a 4-year term, he was trying to be a vice president and a candidate. And I honestly don't see Republicans wanting to vote for the dude. That's what I see. But all that is assuming that there isn't some major, either planned or incidental, EMP attack, grid attack, or a real or manufactured, some sort of economic rug pull that just puts people in a crisis mode, a food chain disruption, some sort of emergency to where the only way, if you don't have your food already, your backup, your stores, your reserve, if the grid is out or anything like that, the only way that you have to restore your to restore your to just get some benefits, get some food, get safety, if and when shit hits the fan, which it's going to at some point. It's like everybody feels it psychically and they're bracing for impact. But the plan is going to be that the only way for you to get access to safety, food, and get help from daddy government is signing over a whole stack of individual rights and, you know, inserting yourself with some sort of a chip, some sort of a biometric or something, so that you are then attached to a digital and artificial intelligence backed monitoring system that monitors your finances. And that's how they usher in the central bank digital currency. And one reason that Trump actually won in the South, that people everywhere, including where I was living last up in New York, what they need to understand is that there are a lot of people who are against a central banking digital currency because it's economic surveillance, and it means that the government has their claws on your money and you can't spend it freely without them monitoring it. And a cashless society is a society with no economic privacy whatsoever and more control. They can leverage they can make you pay taxes by garnishing your wages, even more than they already are able to. But what people got to understand is one of the major reasons that contributed to the Trump victory is the fact that he spoke out against that central banking digital currency. And for me personally, I didn't vote for the guy, but he was the only candidate at the primary level, all of the Republican challengers, all that. He was the only candidate who I heard even speak to it. And that's significant. So, I got way more into issues in this talk than I planned to, but welcome to Southern Squared. You know, I'm a Southern man on two continents, and I'm just exploring my dual identities and getting some political ideas out there. And then I'm even going to be coaching people on how to transition. There's a lot of people moving from up north to North Carolina. There's specifically a huge amount of people um, moving from New York to North Carolina. And I'm going to even be coaching people on what they need to know if they're making that transition from an international cultural capital of the world and an obvious metropolis down here to where we got mid-sized southern cities, we got small towns, and then we got rural areas like this. Out in the cut, baby. Out in the damn cut. I love my quiet little neighborhood out here. But that's all I got for right now. Southern Squared is another content offering we got through Chronicles of Afika, and I hope that you tune in, get to learn about me and my many identities, and learn some things too about American politics, international politics. It's very relevant the way that at the State of the Union, apparently yesterday, President Trump was calling out Lesotho, which is a tiny landlocked country inside of the Republic of South Africa. And he calls out Lesotho, says that nobody knows it exists. It's a very relevant conversation. And there's also this big pushback pushing against what's going on in South Africa with, it sounds like, land seizures and reappropriation of land from some of the former Dutch colonizers. I need to look it up more. My dad is even still in the kingdom of Eswatini and we catch up and talk politics, maybe I'll share some of his ideas on here and get the scoop of what's going on. But I man, above everything, we're Southern and we are Southern. Yeah. South African and North Carolinian and Swazi. And I love all of it. So stay tuned, Southern Squared. I appreciate y'all. Red clay, white sand, blue skies, baby. Signing out, baby.
I've been driving down the back roads. The sound spinning on my days. I ain't caring where the map goes. Cause the sunshine in my face.